Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Game Changers United podcast. Today I'm interviewing another amazing game changer, and this episode is specifically special for the game changer in all of us. We all have one inside of us, some of us more than others, Nathan, but we will talk about that later. Nathan is the co-creator and the chief polisher of the GC Index, the Game Changing Index. Nathan, welcome. I'm so happy to have you on this podcast.
Well, hi, Mercer. Thanks for having me. Thank you very much. Great to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much. So Nathan and I, we go back almost already a year and a half, I think, and we met a few times in person. So we will talk a little bit more about how we met and why was that game changing for me as well. But Nathan, before we do that, we are going to talk about an organimetric today that measures the energy that people use to create impact in life and business, right? That is the GC index in one sentence.
Yeah.
So you co-created that in 2013, and I think that everyone is really curious to hear who are you to start with, and what were your core beliefs when you started the GC index? Can you take us back on your story?
Yeah, love to. Thank you. So my background has always been with another business, helping organizations grow through people. That's my background. Probably for a period of time before 2013, we had a number of clients or would say to us, we need to make a change. We need to make a change in our business for whatever reason. It could have been growth, process. The VUCA world was quite a hot topic at the time, digitalization. And they were asking us for people that that can make a transformational change for whatever reason. And so you would sit down with them, and they'll have their very complex metrics or capability frameworks, assessment frameworks, and at the end of those meetings, they would just say, "Well, just get me some people that get it." And I'm thinking, what do you mean, people that get it? Describe it to me. And they were, well, the pixie dust, the je ne sais quoi, this stuff, the X factor. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, what is it? And they go, well, I know it when I see it. So I'm thinking, well, what is this thing that people can see but can't articulate? So that was the first thing that was puzzling me in my mind. The other thing was I was always on the diversity circuit and at the time, and I was fed up of being the only man at a woman's event, or the only straight person at an LGBT event, or I was the only white person at a BAME or RED event. I'm thinking, well, can't we just see people for the impact they make, rather than these other boxes we put people in society? So there are some of the themes, and I actually I've written about this a bit, but what sparked the initial research, all these things were going on in my mind, and I remember it was quite well documented. I was watching a documentary on a Sunday evening about a young Aboriginal lady that fundamentally transformed her community. And I'm not going to go too much into the story right now, but that and I thought, right, we've got to do something about this. So I got together with my co-creator, Dr. John Mervyn Smith, and said, look, I think there's this group of talent that's either marginalized or we're not measuring, and I think we need to explore this. Okay, so that's how it started, and we called them game changers. Yeah, we back in 2013, and yeah, we started a study into, are there a group of individuals that make transformational change, and that's how it started.
So what I really liked when I was talking to you guys the first time is that it is business funded, right? It is like it comes from a desire from the business, from the industry, from leaders, from people in the industry that felt like something is missing. That's also what you described, like something is missing, but what is it? I think that is a really powerful part of the DNA of the GC Index.
Yes.
And what I really like as well is maybe we can talk a little bit about him, is that you co-created it with Dr. John. Yeah. So for me, Dr. John is like an icon. Maybe we can give a little bit of background of him as well, so that the audience has a good image of the two of you merging together in this project.
Yeah, so Dr. John is a clinical occupational psychologist. He's a leading authority on a number of particular personal areas, particularly around resilience, is one of his core specialisms. And I sort of took this to him, and he looked at me like I was a bit mad at first. And he said, look, come on, I'll entertain you, yeah, if you wish. But if we're going to do a study, let's do it properly, please. And he was very skeptical, to be perfectly honest. He thought we were chasing a bit of a holy grail that didn't exist. But Dr. John led the initial study, which people can see is a report from 2015 called "The DNA of a Game Changer," and that's how it started. So Dr. John has really been the sort of the psychological sort of underpinnings of it. I come at it much more from an everyday life perspective.
Exactly.
He comes in from a clinical occupation, and that's how that merges, which I think has been the magic of the relationship.
Yeah, and I think that is also the core of the GC index, is that your differences make the difference in the end, and are making the difference now for so many organizations and people, and we're going to talk about that. But it started with the two of you being so different from each other.
And I'll talk a little bit about the evolution, because I think what happened then is we released this study, DNA of a Game Changer. It was attractive. People want to know about game changers, and it was one very significant moment was when we were doing a conference to a group of senior executives in a telco environment. So chief information officers, chief technology officers of big telecommunication companies, Orange, Vodafone, Verizon, this type of thing. And we finished the presentation, because at this point all we were looking for were these game changers. That's how it all started. And it was a chief information officer of Orange, Pascal at the time, who said, Nathan, I like this. I like these. We have these game changers, we need to identify them. But what does it mean on your model? Because we'll talk about the model later. It's underpinned by imagination, obsession. What does it mean if I'm not a game changer in your model? So what don't we know? And I think that was we went back and we researched that, yes, you've got these individuals that we've termed game changers that have creative opportunities or creative possibilities they live for, but you need to make sense of those possibilities. You need to make them sort of tangible outcomes. You need to make them better. You need to all work together, which is the fundamental of the GC index. And that's really how it came about, because yes, creativity might lie within an individual, but it takes a whole team to make it.
Exactly. So the moment you thought that you identified it was actually the beginning of a lot of more work.
Yes. Yeah. And I suppose just to pick up on that bit, the relationship between John and I remember sitting there, and it was also Professor Adrian Furnham as well that was with us in the early days. And I remember sort of sitting there, and they're looking at it from a psychological business perspective. And I sort of said, well, I like football. Football's a very simple sport, and I'm pretty sure these football managers don't sit there and go, oh, what we need to make this team great is an INTP or an ESTJ or a sunshine yellow or someone diligent or accommodating, all these personality traits. What they first look at is, I need someone to score goals, someone to create play, and someone to defend goals. Do you know what I mean? So it's much more, and that's really what the GC index does. It works about how people are energized to make an impact. And so that's kind of how we've come together, John and I. I'll take a very normal bloke life approach, and he does the academic bit.
But I think it's very inspiring from an entrepreneurial perspective as well, is that you start with something that you feel like you see something, and you see something is missing, and that is also the typical trait of a game changer, right? So we can see something is missing, but from there it is just the beginning. It evolves, and when more people come together, it gets more rich and more complete during the years that you've been working on this. So Nathan, if you have to describe the GC index as an organimetric, what would you say are its core principles? What is it? How can we describe it best?
Yeah, so It's an organometric. So it's not a psychometric. So it's a language and a framework to show how everybody can contribute to a role, team, process, the organization, make an impact. Okay, so in corporate land or in business world, we have lots of different languages that we use. Okay, I mean, we've got models. So how many innovation models are there? How many recruitment models, supply chain models, organizational, whatever, there are lots of, and they've all got different languages. They're very helpful they don't really say how can someone contribute to that particular process, for example. So if you take one of innovation, for example, we need to go and be innovative. Come on, everyone, let's go and be innovative. That's not very helpful to people because they think they've got to create new ideas or whatever it might be. Whereas through the GC index, you can show how everybody contributes to the process of innovation. Okay, yeah, create new ideas, good. Make sense of those ideas. Yep, I can do that. It's got some people just want to get on and do stuff. So I can actually, make innovation a reality. You've got those that want to do things extraordinarily well and improve it. And you've got those that just want to work to get people together so they can start to see how they can all contribute to a certain process.
Yeah.
And that's how it then extends across any business activity across an organization.
Because just to visualize a little bit for the listeners, so the GC index is a round model with 5 elements. The element in the middle is the playmaker, and the 4 elements in the outside layer are the 4 other proclivities: the game changer, strategist, polisher, and implementer.
Yes.
Well, and then the playmaker is 5. That's good, huh?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Thank you. So, and basically the word index is already giving it away. It's like it's giving you the index of what your, like how you score, let's say, on the different proclivities.
Yeah.
So based on a questionnaire and based on we are profiling people based on a questionnaire, and they get feedback with a full profile saying, okay, for example, I am a 10 game changer, a 6 polisher, and a 6 strategist. And I remember Mark, and I'm going to do another interview with Mark, specifically more, we'll go deeper into the profiling. So I could already tell him, I was like, I think I'm not very high at the playmaker and implementer part. And he was laughing. So he was like, well, yeah, you can say that. So that profile gives you a tangible thing that you can use in your daily life and business. And in my podcast with Mark, I'm going to share more about how this really literally changed my life and business into the Game Changers United that it is today. But I want to focus with you on the applications of that profile. So for me as an individual, as a business owner, it's one thing to know. And but then you also have the applications for the teams and the organizational parts that really are game changing for, I think, 5,000 companies worldwide today.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so we launched in, because we launched in 2017 thinking we've got this model. You know, if you've got entrepreneurs listening, you've got this great idea, and then you've got to put it out into the world and go, does the world think my baby is ugly? Do you know what I mean? Or is it good looking? And so it's that sort of nervousness. You'll experience that. And it resonated, and we've got, and it started to build and resonate, and people, I mean, it's been called a number of things. It's the matrix. It shows how people can just fit in. It's, at the core of the GC index is energy, really. I mean, you've given me your profile. Just because you've got a high score, or it doesn't mean you're any good at it. Yeah, and just because you've got a low score doesn't mean you're bad at it. We're talking about energy, right? What gives me energy? What takes energy away?
Exactly. That's very good that you mentioned that. Indeed, yeah. I can do implementation, for example, execution. I do it. Everything that you see from me is me executing it. Yeah. With, of course, a little help from my team, but it doesn't necessarily give me the most energy. I want to be the game changer. So the game changer energy, for example, you call it transforms the future, right?
Yes. Yeah.
That's what I do the whole day. I'm transforming the future. I do it even when I wake up at 3 in the night. I do it.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm not executing at 3 in the night.
Yeah, and I think if you've got any of those that are listening to it, how do we develop? I mean, people with, there's quite a simple equation within the GC index, and we're looking at impact.
Yeah.
How do people make an impact in life, at work? And the equation will be impact is proclivity. So what the GC index measures, energy, proclivity. So you've got your 10 game changer, for example. I'm really energized by that. But it's the equation is impact is proclivity plus a skill set. Okay, GC isn't a measure of competence. Okay, so what you'll be able to do is, right, I know this energizes me. I know this world of possibilities. I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning thinking about possibilities. What skill sets do I need then to make sure that that I can maximize my impact with those ideas? Do you know what I mean? And that's how it works if those are interested from a development perspective. Yeah. And people use it as a map. You'll be able to use that map, and you'll be able to say, actually, I'm getting really de-energized here, and you'll go, that's because I'm just doing implementation stuff. So either I've got to do it. So how do I find anchors, or can I get more energy by going back up to that creative space for a bit and then come back to this? So people use it as a map of energy at an individual level, which is very powerful. It does transform lives. It makes people realize they're in the wrong role. It makes them understand why they're feeling demotivated, why they're being de-energized, and so on.
Yeah, and also gives you the peace that you don't have to do the other parts anymore. It gives you.
No, I'm
Look
sorry,
at that.
No, that's not what it does. I have a very low implementer score, but I still have to do the washing up, I'm afraid. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. No, that's true.
You go, I can't do the dishes.
No, that's true.
I can't do this particular task at work because I've only got one implementer. No. That's not how it works. You've got to find anchors. You've got to do it, right? You're stuff. Right?
No, true.
Yeah, but it does give people opportunities to go, you're not using me at my best, or you're not using me, to my full potential, because you're missing out this.
Exactly.
In your instance, if your profile, if you were in a job and they were just making you do implementation work day in, day out, you could do it, right? Because you've got the skills to do it, and you might need the money or whatever it might be, whatever the reasons are. But you can go to, actually, this is draining me. Can I do some more? I need to do some of this game-changing energy stuff as well, rather than.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, this whole experience has been really game-changing, to identify for yourself, to have a tangible thing in my hands that I can say, this is me. And if you abstract that to, for example, I wanted to speak Dutch, I'm sorry, for example, organizations and teams. So let's say we have an organization of 100 people. So what does this organization do? What is the mission? What are the people that they need to accomplish that mission? What are the people that they need to accomplish the mission in this stage where they are? How do you recruit the right people for the job? How do you say it? Not design. How do you?
I can't speak Dutch.
Create the right team. No, you can't speak Dutch.
I can speak other languages, but it's not Dutch.
No, I'm sorry. Wow. Well, we can always work on that. So how do you create the right teams for the job? I mean, there are so many questions that can be answered through the GC index as a common language, and that is what I really like. So it's now 3 or 4 months ago that we were at the GC Connect in London, the event that you hosted in this amazing nightclub in the center of London. And you had a lot of guests, like a lot of clients from all over the world coming over to talk about how they apply the GC index in their organization. And everyone was saying, from the big organizations, even through the youth, because you also have a young people's index, they all said it's a common language. It makes it so easy to start the conversation, to know that someone is an implementer or playmaker automatically makes you change your perspective on how you approach them, or how do you, what you expect of them basically as well?
Yeah, and I think if you take some fundamental principles, people value or judge other people for what they do, what they can see, what they do, not what they intend. And what the GCN helps to understand where those intentions come from. So, and it's we've lived in a world of personality tools and personality traits for 50 plus years, and they're really useful, by the way. We're not, this is not saying GCN is good, personality tools bad, not at all. No. They work really well with each other, and they've got a lot of very good place. But it's with personality tools, it's really difficult to get some of those real intentions in a way that is practical. And so that's what really helps. You can understand how that person is energized. And I'll always talk about football. Do you know what I mean? It's like you've got 11 players, but you don't know how they're energized to contribute to the team. Do you know what I mean? You might have
definitely.
And you might have someone who's wants to impact the team by scoring goals. That's their underlying energy. That's what they want to do, but you don't know that, so you put them in defense. And it's that kind of thing.
But that's it. And it already starts from a younger age. And it's funny you mentioned football, because I did a lot of work in professional football in the Netherlands. And as we are recording this in January 2023, I am talking to a few people in professional football in the Netherlands about the GC index, because it's so interesting, especially from a younger age, to already identify your core energy, your core way of naturally contributing to in your life and on the field or later in your profession.
Yeah, and the GC is a diagnostic, and you mentioned questions. It's not a diagnosis. Okay, so it's a diagnostic, right? And you're absolutely right. It's all those questions that come from it.
Yeah,
because it's another piece of data that enable you to understand, right, how am I going to get the best out of these people, this team, whatever? Because, if you think about how many millions, billions has been wasted developing people where we don't know how they're energized. So it's just a data point. It's not saying other data is the only data point. No, of course it isn't. It's just one data point. It's a really important one.
Absolutely.
So they understand.
Absolutely.
And you mentioned children. Sorry, but yeah, absolutely. The whole process of the Young People Index is for 13 to 18-year-olds. Same process.
Yeah.
But the core message is how do we get kids running to education rather than running away from it, for example? Do you know what I mean? Or how do we get kids' sports teams really energized in the role they play? I mean, I'll take a very simple example. If you've got a kids' sports team and the coach goes, right, we've got a winning culture, we've got to win games. Okay, fine. But if their only metric for winning is scoring goals, then those kids are going to all going to want to score goals, feel bad if they don't score goals. Do you know what I mean? Whereas if you can sort of say to those kids, this is how you contribute to winning. So a bit like my innovation example before, this is how you contribute to winning. You contribute to winning by defending goals, creating play, looking after your teammates, whatever it might be. Everyone has a role and everyone knows how they contribute to it. And then I suppose at the end of it, we're getting too high level. At the end of it, you could argue we're just human doings. Yeah. And if we're doing something that we like, we're good at, but most of all, we're valued for, then we become human beings. Yeah. And that's kind of what the core of the GCN is. How do we enable everybody to become potent? Yeah. And you'll know this. I mean, 8 years ago, I saw it's 8 years ago, it's about 2016, so my maths is not great at the minute, so about 6-7 years ago, I remember saying, we'll empower more than 10% of the world's population to make a positive impact in their world. And if you've got entrepreneurs listening now, people laughed at me. Right, okay. They're not laughing now, which is nice.
Yeah, sometimes it takes so much courage to be the only one seeing your vision. and keep standing behind it and to transform it from a vision into a reality now. And the reality today is that more than 5,000 organizations globally, from PricewaterhouseCoopers to all the big names, but also the smaller ones, they work with the GC index, and they do that through the 500 GCologists that are being trained by you. And
700, over 700 now, sorry.
Oh, 700, you see, it's growing rapidly, because your business model, so you are basically, you are the, let's say, the founding partner, and you have a lot of execution partners, let's say, that work with the profiles in the organizations. And yeah, that's so I've been talking.
You're right. We're a wholly partner-centered business. So everything we do is through partners. We have a win cubed business model, so win-win-win. So it's everything through. So partners win, their clients win, and of course we win.
Of course. Yeah.
And
I think it's good to share maybe a little bit from my personal experiences, that I've been talking to you guys now for a year and a half, and I still need to finish my accreditation. I know this is the game changer. This is a game changer. I don't really want to do that practical stuff. Can we just move on and create possibilities? But and you can see why. I know that I can just be myself. But so in the year and a half, I learned so much more about the GC index, and we are trying to capture everything in maybe like 40 minutes, but that's impossible. But it makes so much sense when you deep dive further into it. And I think it has so many opportunities for bigger businesses, for younger generations, I really see the benefits in so many ways. Nathan, if people are interested, what would be the right approach to take from here?
In interest in the GC index itself?
Yeah.
Well, my first thought will say, speak to you.
Speak to me.
Yeah, right. In the first instance, because we're wholly sort of partner-led. So speak to you. And again, if you say, can we speak to somebody on your behalf? Of course we can. I mean, absolutely. But I mean, I think to understand more, speak to you. We have a website. We do a lot of. We're pretty well known. We have actually done all of this without any marketing. So if people have never heard of us, that's not a surprise, because we've got this far without any marketing. But that's because we've been trying to get our systems to catch up before we really. And so, but there'll be a lot more activity in terms of awareness going on this year and subsequent years for our community as well.
Well, from a partner perspective, even though I'm still officially not a partner, but I experienced you guys as a very professional, very structured and organized organization. And it's really a privilege to start working with you guys. And you are all so involved and so passionate about what you're doing. And I feel it's really genuine. And I think that is the best thing that you can be these days.
Yeah, I mean, we have a couple of sort of things. But I have my own guiding principle. We are wholly professional, but not necessarily always serious. We don't confuse professionalism with seriousness. They're not the same. So professional, yes, but we like to have a bit of fun and challenge some status quo. But internally, we don't make this an external announcement too much. We want to keep it as a real internal one. I mean, people know about it, but we have a drive to make sure every single partner feels like they're the only one. Do you know what I mean? I think you've got certainly entrepreneurial businesses here that have grown. That's really difficult. You start off, and of course, everyone can come and talk to me and the founders, but obviously as we're scaling, how do we maintain that intimacy for all of our partners? Well, and that's a challenge we're going to go through, but for everything, through our systems, through everything, partner must feel like they're the only one. That's paramount internally.
Would you say that if you would look at the GC index from the organimetric perspective, that you are a game-changing organization, or like what is the energy that is typical for your organization?
It's interesting, actually. So we are more of a game changer polisher. Yeah, we're very polisher led. So constant improvement, never satisfied, always moving forwards, progress. And then that works. that works well for us.
And do you think
we do lack implementation, and we've got one strategist. Well, we've got another one now, but yeah, strategy has been a bit of a something that we had to address about 2-3 years ago, was the strategy side of our business, because we were all around all the possibilities, opportunities, and it was getting just really.
How do you also navigate your own organization, because you are also changing? The role that you have is changing, right? In the beginning, you are more like the accelerator, like the facilitator of things. And maybe now you will be more like the partner that is providing, or I don't know. So it's like the energy of your organization is also changing depending on where you are. And the better you can train and help the people like me, for example, the more facilitating your role will be, instead of like game changing, maybe.
Well, it's interesting, because I've looked at you look at how businesses grow historically. Exactly. I mean, one thing always in my mind is just about Facebook. I think they're when they first started, I think their sort of mantra was adapt fast and break things. I think it was, adapt fast and break things. So that was their mantra, blah blah blah. And then 20 years later, I think they changed, or 15 years later, they changed to adapt fast with safe infrastructure. And you think, oh God, that's a bit rubbish. Do you know what I mean? And so I think if you look at small businesses, this is my own view, I mean, this could be wrong. You have these entrepreneurial businesses with great ideas and stuff, but they have their core, but they don't make any money. Right, because they're for whatever reason, or you've got the smaller business with a great idea and things, and then they start to scale, and they become a bit more boring and structured, and they lose that magic of what made that idea in the first place. So I'm working really hard to make sure we sit right in the middle. We can't lose whatever it is that we've got that's resonant. We can't lose that. We can't become and that's going around in my mind. So that's a very unstructured view of.
But that is your core. That's the characteristics of the organizations, based on history, based on you as one of the co-creators, based on Dr. John and all the partners and clients that are involved right now. They also give it a little bit of magic.
Well, I don't know. I'll take a small one. This is happening in my high street right now, actually. There's a lovely little pizza restaurant, that's been opened up, independent pizza restaurant. I loved it. It was great. It was different. It felt homely. The owner knew my name. You start you go, and you think, this is great. I love this. 2 years later, they've opened 3 or 4 more. So now I go in there, staff don't know who I am, it's not the same experience, doesn't feel, and you sort of think, oh, that's lost. And so it's that bit that we can't lose. That's what we've coined this I've coined this phrase, every partner must feel like they're the only ones. They must have that. And now I know that's difficult. I get that. And I'm not under any illusions that we're going to get it wrong sometimes, but that's part of our core. But
I think that's the core energy, that the example that you give, they lost their core energy that they used to run their business with. And that I think it's difficult for a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs to maintain that level, that core energy. But if you know what your core energy is, if you know what was driving you in the first place, and if you can identify that into words or core values or products even, or strategies, then I think you can always adapt a little bit to it.
Of course. And look, I've not, I've also spoken to my local pizza, and he's quite happy now. He's got 4 or 5 shops, right? Pretty well. So, I mean, it works for him, but I mean, for me, I don't really want people feeling that, and I know it's going to happen, right? I mean, to a degree, but as much as we can minimize it, the better. And like you say, keep that core energy. And I think it's really maintaining the balance between being transformational and transactional.
Definitely. One last question.
Go on.
when is it succeeded for you? You were saying 10% of humanity, but can you?
More than, yeah.
Yeah, more than that.
Yeah, I think, look, this has exceeded, well, not exceeded expectations. I thought this would happen. You know, it's quite nice when some ideas start to become a reality.
Yeah.
If it all stopped now, yeah, we've changed a lot of lives already.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean? That's really cool. I think there's a number of moments when you think this is, wow, they actually like this, you know, and these are really senior, seasoned people that go. So that all those little touch points have been great. The journey's been great, but it's been driven, and it continues to be driven by our partners, GCologists, our clients, and just, you know, 5%, you know, I think 95% of the way the GC index can be used, we don't even know yet. Yeah, and that's really exciting. And that's really exciting.
It
so
is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great, and it's great to take all these people on a journey with us, because it is that, you know, it's not, I didn't just come up with all this stuff. I come up with an idea, we did a bit of research.
No.
Someone else has pushed it forwards, and it's great. It's great.
There's a big community of great people and examples that also keep fueling the GC train, let's say.
Yeah. But it's, I think our role is to provide the data, the language, and then that's, you know, and then it's our GCologists and our GC partners that have all the skills, they have the expertise, their areas. Do you know what I mean? And they just go away and apply it to their areas. I mean, even just, you know, we see teachers going, they look at it for the first time and go, God, we can apply this to our teaching. I said, yeah, great. Off you go. You know, and we'll help you and support. No, well, we'll help you and support you, but we're not going to limit you. Off you go. Yeah, explore the possibilities. Yeah, go for it. And that's also energizing for everyone else as well, because they have that real freedom and liberation. So yeah, you know, people listening to this might think this guy's completely unstructured and, you know, talking a verbal state of consciousness, which I am, you know, but that's lovely. You know, it's a lovely way of, a lovely journey to be on, and yeah, long may it continue.
Yeah. Well, I'm on board. Great. Almost.
You will be.
We keep making fun of it, but
people have their own journees, right?
Exactly.
So people have their own GC index journey, and they go as fast or as slow, and that's great. And we're very happy with that. Yeah, and it's great doing this podcast with you. I love the energy, love what you're doing, and yeah, let's see where the journey takes us.
Yeah, I'm really curious. Well, very practically, in the moment that we are recording this, there's a very interesting opportunity in the Netherlands arising, where the government is funding organizations to help them to develop their business and their teams and organizations. So I am currently talking to the GCologists and to you guys to see how we can make sure that as many businesses as possible can make use of this great opportunity. If you want to know more about that, I will put in a link on my website, and you can contact us directly or me to set up a call specifically for this funding combined with the GC index and more, actually. So Nathan, I think that for the first interview, we already covered so much. We will probably do a follow-up, maybe more in depth, or maybe we can do some like industry specific examples. I think that would be interesting. Is there anything that I forgot or you want to mention or address? Or
no, I've just really enjoyed my time here. Thank you very much. Nice having a chat with you. I think it's really good. I could talk about this stuff all day. I mean, I think certainly, you know, yeah, more conversations like this one. It's great. This is fantastic for me, and you know, and I enjoy it. So it gives me energy. So yeah, I'm happy to talk about as much as you want, whenever you want. No problem. So thank you for your support, and thank you for your continuous support and sharing and exploring possibilities with us. It's great.
Thank you. Well, thank you. Stay with me after I end the recording, please, so I can thank you again in person.